Okay, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to deconstruct two really popular Hindi stories that show us something fascinating about a classic character, the Indian daughter-in-law, or Bahu. We're going to see how she goes from being a passive character to a super clever hero who basically rewrites her own destiny. You know, this line from one of our stories, it just nails it. It perfectly sets the stage. What it's telling us is that the first kitchen ceremony isn't just about making a meal. Nope. It's a high-stakes test of a new bride's character, her wisdom, and yeah, her cleverness in her brand new home. All right, so let's get into this whole idea of the first test. It's a theme you see all the time in Indian stories. But how it's playing out now? Well, that's changing in a big way. So this is the Peheli Rasoi, the first kitchen. It is a huge moment for a new bride. The entire family, they're all watching. Not just to see if she can cook, but more importantly, to see if she has samajhdari, that practical wisdom, that cleverness, to really make it in her new life. So what we're looking at today are two completely different stories, and each one throws a very different kind of challenge at the new daughter-in-law. So in our first story, we have three new daughters-in-law. They walk into what's supposed to be a simple cooking test, but it turns into an absolute crisis, like immediately. I mean, just look at this list. It is a culinary nightmare. The gas cylinder, empty. The only ingredients they have are potatoes, flour, and yogurt. They're on a ticking clock. And to top it all off, the judge, this Kamalabua, is famous for being impossible to impress. This isn't just a test. It feels like a setup. Okay, now for story number 2. Here, the challenge isn't some sudden shock. It's a long-term, totally soul-crushing problem. A mother-in-law who is an extreme miser. And yeah, the picture this paints is pretty bleak, isn't it? The food is watery, and it's made from rotting vegetables to save money. Simple things like a washing machine are banned. Everything is rationed. The family is being deprived just to save a few coins. It's just a completely suffocating way to live. So, you've got these two impossible situations. What do? Well, this is where our heroines really shine. They don't just sit back and take it. Nope. They get strategic. And wow, their approaches are like night and day. On one hand, you have this very hands-on, roll-up-your-sleeves solution to a problem that's happening right now. And on the other, you have this super clever psychological ploy designed to fix a deep-rooted personality problem. Two very, very different gambits. So let's talk about that first strategy. It all comes down to this fantastic concept, jugaad. It's such a great word, and it means so much more than just improvisation. Think of it as that classic Indian resourcefulness, hacking a solution together with whatever you've got. It's the art of making something brilliant out of almost nothing. And here is their jugaad in action. No gas? Fine. They find an old wood stove, a chula, in the courtyard. They scrounge up some wood and paper and get a fire going. But the real genius move? They stop competing with each other and start working together. They become a team. And this quote right here, this is the turning point. It basically says, this stopped being a contest and started being teamwork, and that was about to become their superpower. This is the moment they completely change the game. All right, so if the first solution was all about getting your hands dirty, this next one is the total opposite. This is a battle of wits, a carefully planned mind game. The new daughter-in-law, Mahima, she finally decides enough is enough. She goes to her sister-in-law and lays it all out. She says, the water is now over our heads. We have to find a cure for mother-in-law's miserliness. Are you with me? It's a call to arms, really. And oh man, their plan is just diabolically brilliant. First, they start having these loud conversations they know the mother-in-law will overhear about neighbors getting sick from poor nutrition. Then, they take her for a checkup, but, and this is the kicker, they hide the perfectly normal results and pretend her health is in critical danger. They turn her own logic, her own obsession with money, right back on her. Okay, so you've got these two incredible plans. But do they actually pull it off? Let's see how this all plays out and look at the victory of change in both of these families. So, in that first story, right when you think it's over, bam, a massive twist. The tough judge, Kamala Bua, drops a bombshell. She reveals she was behind the whole thing, the empty gas cylinder, the missing ingredients. She planned it all. And why would she do that? Because it was never, ever about the food. She wanted to see if they had the wisdom and the teamwork to solve a problem under pressure. She wanted to see if they had that Jagad spirit. And for that, she declares all three of them joint winners. Their teamwork was the real prize. And in story number 2, that mind game works like a charm. The mother-in-law, Shobana, is completely terrified, believing she's dying, and that her family won't spend money to save her because of her own rules. She just breaks. She begs them, money is not more important than life, just save my life. And that right there, that's the moment everything changes. Her fear of death finally becomes greater than her love of money. And you can see the results. The family's quality of life, their happiness, it just shoots right up. It's a total dramatic transformation. All right, so we've pulled these two stories apart. What's the real takeaway here? What are these stories really trying to tell us about what we value today? And really, it all boils down to this. The idea of the perfect daughter-in-law is changing. It's not just about being quiet and obedient anymore. In these stories, she's celebrated for being intelligent, for being a problem solver, and for being the one who actually pushes the family to be better. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Are these stories telling us that the daughter-in-law is no longer just someone who joins the family, but is now the very engine that fixes it and drives it forward? Pretty interesting thought, isn't it?